What's good, y'all? ShinKensou here. I got my hands on the early access build for Blue Mary in City of the Wolves, and let me tell you right now, whatever character you're currently maining in City of the Wolves might actually be in trouble. She isn't just incredibly fun to play, you guys. Her new playstyle, along with how her kit works in the rev system, is simply peak. It's pretty different and unique for her. Trust me, she doesn't work like any other character in the game. So, if you want a character that can dictate the pace of the match and kind of make your opponents terrified to press a single button, stick around, trust and believe. I'm gonna show you exactly why Blue Mary needs to be your day one pick when she drops. But before all else, you guys, go on ahead and do your boy a solid, hit that young subscribe button to stay up to date with everything on the channel. Now, let's get into it and let's break down why you need to be terrified of Blue Mary in Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. So, we all know Mary snaps limbs when she fights, right? Well, who exactly is Blue Mary? Let's talk about the lore behind the Joint Crusher. Mary Ryan, aka Blue Mary, is a freelance special agent operating out of Southtown. She didn't just pick up grappling for fun. She was actually born into that life. She comes from a long line of law enforcement and actually like fighters, if you will, right? And so Mary was taught how to fight under her grandfather, Tatsumi Suo. And here, you guys, is a quick little wild piece of SNK trivia. Her grandfather actually also trained geese in the Jujutsu martial arts. Well, that is before Geese eventually turned on him and took his life. But we know how that goes when you mess with Geese Howard. And yes, you guys, Mary is actually half Japanese, in case you didn't know. Now, tragedy unfortunately defines a massive part of her backstory. She lost both her father and her romantic partner Butch during a botched Secret Service assignment. You know that iconic green leather jacket that she always wears? Well, that kind of belonged to Butch. And after losing the people closest to her, she shut the world out and she took on the codename Blue Mary and went full on freelance, as I mentioned before. Her only real companion over time was her dog Anton, who basically tags along on practically every mission she goes on. Blue Mary first debuted back in Fatal Fury 3 to investigate the criminal underworld, frequently clashing with guys like Yamazaki. But it's her dynamic with Terry that fans actually really latched onto, right? The two of them share a deep unspoken bond. That bond is that they're both lone wolves dealing with the heavy grief of losing loved ones to Southtown's unfortunate violence. And a lot of the times in lore and in imagery, you can constantly see them getting a drink at the Pow Pow Cafe or just in general just looking out for each other. Now, Mary's popularity exploded so much that SNK brought her over to the King of Fighters series, away from Fatal Fury, where she became an absolute staple in the series. She went from being a Fatal Fury newcomer to one of the most feared grapplers in fighting game history, especially on the SNK side of things. Seeing her return in City of the Wolves feels like, kind of a homecoming. Finally out of KOF, back into Fatal Fury. She's older, wiser, but still proving you don't need a fireball to be one of the craziest, most dangerous characters in the game. Alright, now that you are all caught up, let's get into Mary's visuals. I gotta be honest, you guys, Mary looks great. This has got to be the best I've ever seen this character look, and they included her bomber jacket from Butch this time. A lot of fans have requested for Mary to actually fight with the jacket on, and let's just be serious, SNK always cooks when it comes to characters with jackets. They also kind of changed her boots up a little bit, just adding a little bit to the drip, and you can never go wrong with that. Additionally, Mary comes with an upgraded version of her Fatal Fury 3 stage, which I think looks absolutely gorgeous in City of the Wolves. I believe this was a stage that a lot of fans wanted to see come back, and I'm glad to see that SNK listened to the fans and brought it back. On a side note, you can actually see Anton in the background of the stage just chilling. Shout out to the doggy. So you already know, Mary's visuals are a 10 out of 10 for me. But let's get into the meat and potatoes, and that's her archetype gameplay. Mary, first of all, is a striker character, not to be confused with a grappler. Think more of characters like Makoto in Street Fighter 3, where the grapple is important to the mix-ups, but not always necessary. Movement-wise, Mary is a dash character. Now, I know this might throw off a lot of the KOF Mary players that are used to her running around, but trust me when I say, in time, that won't be an issue at all. She's still a speedster at her core. Even her walk speed is solid, so you're in good hands movement-wise overall. Now, this one was a little tricky one for me here as I was kind of messing around with Mary, and that is her SPG placement. I think in terms of her SPG placement, I think Mary can put it basically anywhere and still be pretty effective based on her kit and what I've tested. But I know the current standard of the meta in Season 2 is Final SPG. I would definitely say feel free to explore the options on where you place your SPG, because her combos do kind of get a little bit better as you go up in the SPG placement based on the reduced meter cost for your rev arch. So yeah, just mess around there, you guys. Trust me, there's a lot to be discovered. Or if you're not comfortable with trying to explore, hey, go ahead and put that at the very end and do Final SPG and just play the meta. Nothing wrong with that either. Alright, now we kind of got through this, let's talk about her game plan, right? As I mentioned before, she's a striker character and she wants to get in, do quick damage with grapples, and try to keep pressure on her opponents. So with that being said, it's all gonna come down to establishing that fear early. You're gonna be kind of peppering your opponent with lights and whatnot and like general pokes to kind of test their defense. Check their dashes, check their movements, and try to keep them grounded. And once they start respecting that pressure and freezing up, dude, it's over. You dash in, bypass their guard entirely, and just hit them with your command grab, and it's gonna put them on their back, and they're gonna have to start playing the guessing game because Mary has a lot of hard knockdowns in her kit. I do want to point out, with that being said, right, even though I'm telling you this as a strategy, please understand, she's not just a one-trick pony. The constant threat of the command grab is what's gonna make her meaty buttons be pretty scary. You know, you might want to try to run away from her, but she might hold you down. I say that because you might be looking for a command grab as you're getting up, and she hit you with a beefy button, and you eat a whole combo back into that scenario again. So essentially, you clip them with heavy counter hits, heavy buttons that convert into a full rev combo, and suddenly their life bar starts to dissipate and disappear, and then they're just guessing for game. Before you know it, game's over, next round. You kind of get the picture here, right? This character can be very suffocating. So that's essentially what you'll be doing with her. Now, prior to that, of course, you're gonna have to play neutral before you get in. I know it sounds very appealing, but you will have to play the neutral game first, and then when you get in, go nuts. Alright, you guys, next up, we're gonna get into Mary's special moves. And first up on the list is Mary's classic Spinfall. This is a hop kick that has a follow-up attack that leads to a hard knockdown. It does go over low, so you'll be using this quite a bit in her gameplay. Next, we have Mary's Slicer. This is essentially her slide attack. However, the caveat to it in this game is that unlike KOF, it is actually not at low, and as per usual, it does have a follow-up that causes a hard knockdown as well. Keep in mind that this is also one of Mary's feint cancelable moves as well. And next up on the special move list is Mary's vertical arrow. In previous games, this is her uppercut. However, in this game, unlike King of Fighters, it doesn't actually sport any actual invincibility. Instead, it just works as an upper body invincibility attack. So in other words, it's just a really great anti-air. Additionally, it does have a follow-up. It's a big theme about Mary here, having follow-ups to her attacks. That does cause, once again, hard knockdown. Much like all the other DPs in the game, this DP is also break cancelable as well. Alright, next up we have Mary's real counter, or essentially it's her command spot dodge. This move is actually very strong in this game in my honest opinion, in fact probably one of the best moves in her entire kit. In this game, it is actually invincible to throws, normals, supers, you name it, it can beat it. So you really do have to bait this move out while playing against her, and if you are playing as her, it's really neat to go through a lot of different options against your opponent. Keep in mind she does still also have her grab follow-up as well. This next up on her kit is a completely new move And in my honest opinion, I think this is what really makes Mary shine personally, and it is her quick step. Essentially, she has a forward sway and a back sway, and out of this sway, she has all of her special moves attached to it by way of different directionals. It's a very compound move, so bear with me here as it's a lot to cover. As I mentioned before, through quick step, she has a bunch of different follow-ups. Your follow-ups include command grab, Mary slicer, spin fall, vertical arrow. She also has her spot dodge in the command grab, and her back sway. Now, the caveat to this is that even within the back sway, the exact same options are also available. Yes, you heard correct. All of the options from her forward sway are available in her back sway, with the exception of her command grab. If you do her back sway into the command grab input, she will sway forward. As you can tell, you got to have to bear with me here. It is a lot to take in. And next up, we're going to take a quick look at her rev blows. There is a neat little thing I did find out about her aerial rev blow. It turns out that you can actually get a single hit rev blow and not go into the actual hit grab. From my understanding, it seems like it does change her okizeme just a little bit. So just keep that in mind if you don't actually get the hit grab. And lastly, we're going to take a quick look here at her feints. So her forward feint and her down feint are the exact same, and they look exactly like her spot dodge. Well, her neutral feint, now that's the tricky one. It looks exactly like spin fall. So essentially you can get into some pretty neat pressure, making Mary a very tricky character. Alright, now last tidbit here is Mary's supers. Before we get into all of her supers, I do want to point out one major caveat, and it is that all of her supers are actually invincible. That means regular, redline, and her hidden gear, all invincible. So first and foremost, we have M Arrest. This is a 2-frame startup, and a 1-frame startup on the red line. Next up, we have Mary's Dynamite Swing. Keep in mind, the only caveat to the super is that Mary tosses the opponent in the opposite direction that she was facing. And lastly, we have her hidden gear, Sky Rose. And that'll cover it for all of Mary's special moves and supers. Alright, next up here we have the combo section. I definitely want you guys to check out a little bit of the combo potential Mary does have to offer. I'll be the first to tell you, I don't think her combo potential is that crazy based on the type of character that she is, but what she does have does pack a punch. Please note that these combos are not 100% optimal, and I'm sure people in the community will find other confirms that might be stronger than these.
Cause I can feel ya.
Alright, you guys, are coming up to the end of the video and my final thoughts on Blue Mary. So I think Mary is not going to be a character you can just pick up and kind of mash around with day one and get results, right? She's going to require a lot of conditioning of the opponent, having a lot of patience in dealing with lots of opponents as you play, and a deep understanding of the game's, counterplay for each character in which you will encounter. In other words, dealing with your opponent's habits, right? And the basic tendencies you'll tend to see based on people using said character. But if you are willing to put in the time, Mary is looking to be, in my honest opinion, one of the most dangerously rewarding characters in Fatal Fury Season 2 so far. And just to kind of add to the dangerously rewarding part here, right? You got to keep in mind, Mary has a great dash. She has a new command dash that opens up a lot more pressure opportunities for her now. Her strike throw is really, really good, and just her damage output in corner carry is just top notch. So that's a big reason why I'm saying she's going to be dangerously rewarding, right? So, but my question to you guys, and you can tell me in the comments below, are you going to be picking up Mary on day one, or will you be continuing playing your current main? Or are you even interested in Mary at all? Let me know in the comments below. Drop them down there in the comments. Hit that like button as well if this breakdown helped you prepare for Mary's launch. And as always, you guys, stay in the city and keep leveling up. And before I get up out of here, you guys, big thanks to SNK for allowing me early access to Mary to bring this video straight to you guys. With that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. You know the vibes. Peace.